Let's go, it's the Whitey Show. Whitey Show. Whitey Show. Whitey Show. Whitey Show.
Bulletstorm is basically the biggest cliche in the world. Group of mercenaries gets framed and they're really good guys but then turn bad, and then the bad guys are after them, but since the bad guys look like good guys, it's really like the bad guys are actually the good guys and you guys are the bad guys, but it's really not supposed to be that way, but you know that's how the story goes. And with that amazing story that's very original, we have dialogue that is basically from a teenager's room with a bunch of friends, and you hear words such as dick ass and fart smell and ass urine and shit out of your ass and pee out of your ass and shit. I don't even know. It's just terrible. It's basically just a lot of foul language thrown in for no real reason except to make them funny, but they're really not. It feels very forced. However, the game really isn't taking itself serious. It knows that, and if you can somehow enjoy this dialogue or get past it, I guess you can see some quality in the story, but overall, the story is just very pathetic. It's really not funny at any points except one or two throughout the whole story. And, I mean, as long as you understand it's not taking itself serious like Killzone, I guess you can enjoy it, but I totally found the story retarded, boring, and cliche in every way. The graphics are pretty good. I mean, they're not the best out there, but at least the style isn't Gears of War exactly. The characters are still bulky and big, and their heads are still small, but it's not on the severe level of Gears of War. And it is cool to, you know, see all these colorful environments that are finally in an Unreal Engine. It's like, it only took them 4 years, but it looks really good now. I would say that there's a lot going on screen. There's monsters tearing down things. There's not too many frame rate problems from what I saw. So overall, the graphics were probably the strongest part of the game, and I really had no problem with them except some design decisions, I guess, because some of these characters are absolutely hideous, and some of the monsters are retarded looking, but besides that, overall the graphics actually are pretty good. So you've seen the trailers, and the game's main marketing was basically what can set Bulletstorm apart from all these other shooters out. And to me, being honest here, I felt that it didn't set shit apart. Kicking an enemy into a fucking spike or throwing them into a spike doesn't make this game revolutionary or really that new. It still feels like a shooter, and with that, it's a very, very boring shooter. You mainly have to shoot. You have to empty a whole clip to kill one guy sometimes, and it's retarded. The game really is, you know, I love set pieces, but the game focuses so much on set pieces that sometimes a level is like 2 minutes shooting, set piece, 2 minutes shooting, and then more set pieces. And I love set pieces, but it really didn't work in this game's favor, and it kind of gets boring after a while. Basically, what it does try to set apart is the weapons, and the leash is the main difference between every other shooter. This leash can either draw enemies forward or fling things, so on. I mean, the thing is though, it doesn't really introduce much new. Drawing an enemy closer is a kind of cool feature, but when you kick an enemy 6-7 times, it gets boring, and then you're going to do it about 150 more times within the next 2 levels. And that's really my main problem with Bulletstorm, is this is very repetitive, and the marketing is that it's so different from every other shooter. I fail to see how it's very different from every other shooter. It feels exactly like every other shooter with a gimmick thrown on it, and it's really not that good of a gimmick, and that's the problem with Bulletstorm. It's just a shooting game like every other shooting game, where instead of shooting enemies, you shoot enemies, then you kick them in this game into things, and that's basically the gameplay of the whole game. Now, that's not to say there isn't any fun in this game. There's some really cool set piece and parts, like controlling a dinosaur. That was really fun. But besides those parts, it's really just a standard shooter. It's not bad in any way. It doesn't break anything. Shooting works and all that. So if you're just looking for a standard shooter with the leash gimmick, you're going to get it here. But otherwise, it's just another shooter. Now, the enjoyment section is really when I get down to how much I like the game. And you might be saying, wow, you really went hard on the gameplay section, yet you still gave it a 7 in that section. Well, because it really didn't do anything wrong, and it is a workable shooter, and the leash is a gimmick that works. But overall, when it gets down to my opinion, I really didn't enjoy this game at all. I had like 2 parts in the whole entire game that were fun. The rest just sucked. It was boring. Same old shit that you get in every other shooter with a gimmick thrown on. Bulletstorm, does, in my opinion, does not deserve these 9s. It's getting not even close. I can understand some fans giving it an 8. They find it fun to kick people in the spikes and electrocute them. Personally, me, it didn't do shit. It was very boring, very borderline. The story is about 5 freaking hours. Bulletstorm is the definition of a renting game. You're bored one weekend, rent it. Otherwise, I can't suggest this to anybody really. Even shooting fans, I suggest renting it. The multiplayer sucks. You'll get bored of it. You'll beat the single player in like 2 sittings. Bulletstorm just, it's a very, very average shooter. It's not broken, it's not bad, but it's average and nothing more.
Come on, sister.